I just want to go on a quick rant. I'm not sure what I'm going to tell the video yet, but it'll come to me. I just found this funny. Like, I was watching some of these, like, police body cam videos on YouTube, or, some of these shows. Like, you ever seen the show Cops on TV? Or y'all know what I'm talking about from, like, what, the 2010s? I don't even know if it's still. I don't know if they're even making new videos on that, but I know over the last 10 years I've watched that, on and off once in a while. But what I find weird though is, say for instance, like they'll order people, well, stop resisting arrest. And if you resist them arresting you, aka kidnapping you, well, then you could get years added to your sentence for that. It occurred to me, wait a second, hold up a second. That's not a free country there. Of course, somebody, the rational person, is going to show kickback and, they're going to be against a aggressor trying to forcibly steal them away from their friends and family. Doesn't matter what they do, that's just what's going to happen. That's a natural human instinct, right? Somebody's trying to forcibly make you do something, you resist. And that's the same way for everything. But apparently everybody, will turn a blind eye and pretend for police officers that's not the same though, right? If they demand you do this or do that, then you do, and whatever the master says. But yet the ironic thing is these same dumb Americans that will say that, they're saying, well, yes, I'm a freedom-loving American. But then in the next breath, they'll be like, yeah, I'm a law-abiding citizen. It's like, okay, well, you can't have it both ways. By you saying you're a law-abiding citizen, you're literally saying, I have masters, I obey them, end of story. That's not how a free man thinks, right? You cannot be a free man on one hand, but then on the other, you bow to every commandment given down by the parasites in power. That's not how a free man thinks. That's how a servant thinks. Like, yes, master, whatever you tell me, I obey. So, of course, any type of authoritarian country like the United States will make it to where everybody must bow the knee to their officers at every given demand and command, even if it's an order that is so unbelievable and even quote unquote illegal, right? Every officer, goes by the written code. And it's like, well, hold up a second. I got a question for you. That written code, you do realize that comes down from the people in charge, which are basically just a bunch of humans like you and me, which they got more money than us, fair enough. But they're the parasites in charge that, ironically enough, most of them are getting their money in ways that are against their own guidelines. Isn't that ironic? But nothing will happen to them, though, right? But if there's a guy on the street that, is resisting arrest because they found out that he has a plant that he's growing in the garage, that guy's like a wicked criminal that deserves to be in jail forever. It's ridiculous. And it shows this country is not a free country. Like, say, for instance, and again, I'm not saying, to go and smoke any substance that's quote unquote illegal. I'm not saying to do that. Just hear out what I'm saying. I'm just saying that United States is a hypocrite and a liar and is not a free country. And there's nobody who can challenge my claim. Like any dumbass like Jill that steps up, you'll get cooked and whooped in a debate. You'll get cooked and you will get whooped. Shit, I'll put that shit, oh man. Jill's going to be put into that slavery early if he steps to me in a debate. Oh, man. But I mean that in a metaphoric stance. But, man, that boy ain't ready. That he's a parasite. That's all I'm going to say about Jill. Jill is a parasite. He kisses the government's ass, and then on the other hand says, yes, I believe in Jesus. Now that guy believes in the U.S. government as the true God. That's really what that parasite believes in, right? So enough with that dude. But we'll kick that dude to the sidelines where he belongs. But you know what I find funny though? Like, they'll spend millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even up to billions of dollars over the course of the last decade, and stopping they call it the war on drugs, right? The war on drugs. And a vast majority of these drugs that they're against, the only reason why they're going after people for having them is because the government says that they can't have them. Like, it doesn't hurt anybody by these people possessing them. Like, say, for instance, they'll say, well, yeah, it's wrong for this guy to, be growing such and such, in his garage, even though the dude just literally sitting there, on the couch smoking it, or, selling it for $20 to a single mother down the street, just to get a couple side dollars or whatever, but, oh, he's like, the greatest threat, right? He's like such a great threat that we need to, find and stomp out. It's just remarkable to me. It just makes no sense. So here it is in the same country where there's like literally, 1 out of 5 children has to go to bed without eating a meal each night. So that's happening in this country. But somehow we need to spend, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars on the war on drugs. I mean, it's ridiculous if you think about it. It is just ridiculous. This is not a free country. If somebody gets offended at that, then that's good, right? That's good that you're offended. First of all, Christ said, blessed is he who's not offended. Say, hey, what I'm saying, what I'm spitting is coming from the scriptures. And all these dummies out there, oh, Romans 13, obey the government. It's like, well, dumbass, this is why you have no business reading the Bible, because if you read verse 4, it tells you that this is the minister of God to you for good. Anybody who knows anything about English language could tell you that a minister is a man who has a power over a congregation, right? A man in leadership over a congregation of believers. That's not the government. Some of you should go back to preschool and take some basic English lessons, maybe elementary school, right? But hell, that's the reading level these guys are on, right? Elementary and preschool level, and that's really sad. I think that's, very sad to me. A lot of these dudes out here walking around that, outwardly they're grown men, but inwardly they got the mind of like a little 4 or 5-year-old. It's just remarkable and sad to me. It's just really bizarre. It's really bizarre to me. Bear with me a second. So this is just, and then we got to talk about real quick, like the whole illegal aliens coming into the country, right? So they're spending, millions upon millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions in the upcoming years to, build the Mexican-U.S. border over there, right, to stop the immigrants from coming into the country. And shit, what if nobody's going to mention the fact that they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars right now to ship these people out of the countries, right? They're boarding these people on military escorts to get them out of the country, right? Shipping them back, whether it be by air, plane, or rail, right? That all that adds up, right? All that fuel expense, time expense, all of that adds up, right? So they're wasting all this time getting these people out of the country, which a vast majority of them, say 98% of them, are just kind, lovely people that don't want any harm on anybody else. But because they came to this country without the government's written consent, they have to get shipped out of here, right? Just because there might be a couple bad apples among them. And it's funny, like the same people who will sit there and bitch and complain about the illegals coming into the country, right? And they'll condemn, all of them are, bad and it could be a threat to America. But yet the same person, they'll sit there and say, well, yeah, there's some good police officers. You can't lump them all together. But yet, on the other hand, they themselves will lump all illegal immigrants together as all like bad and, can't be here because they entered the country without the parasites in charge giving them the permission. It's like, wait a second, isn't that a authoritarian country? If you need the king to give his stamp of approval on some documents if you're allowed to enter into this territory or not, isn't that a authoritarian country? Like, seriously, like if you're really a free man, shouldn't you be able to travel where you want on the earth with your own money? Like, seriously, think about that. If you need another person to give you like a permission, or like say for instance, like if I wanted to go over to, where could I say, like say if I wanted to go to London from the US, right? Like I'd have to get a passport in order to do that. It's like, wait a second, that's not free. That's not free if I need a passport. First of all, y'all didn't create this land. Y'all didn't create the earth. Y'all are just dwelling on it. You don't own it. Like, I'm sorry to inform you, but you don't own the earth. The message to the parasites in charge: you don't own the earth, right? You did not create the earth. You don't own the earth. And if you think you do, well, you're just retarded. You just don't. It's ridiculous. But these dummies on YouTube, oh, whatever Esau says, we go by, right? Like, it's remarkable. Like, some of these GMS dudes, they'll sit there, bark at people on corners, act all big and tough and scary. But yeah, if Esau rolls by, it'll be like, yes, master, anything you say, we do. It's funny. They'll sit there, act all big, tough, and scary. But yet, they'll get the breath knocked out of them by getting hit with a sack of bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hilarious. So, they'll stand there, and yell at people, and act all big and scary. But a lot of these dudes would get the wind knocked out of them if they got hit with a sack of bread. And that's pathetic to me. It's pathetic, but this is, how a lot of these dudes are, man. And it's just really sad, right? Like, well, yeah, Esau's the enemy, but on the other hand, oh, whatever government says we do, and then they'll say, well, yeah, if the law of the land goes against the Bible, then we don't go by the law of the land. But if the law of the land is in line with the Bible, we go by it. It's like, okay, well, I can list 50 laws of the land that you're abiding by that are in error according to the Bible, but y'all still do it anyway. So you see, your statement doesn't logically match up. You're just saying that because you're stupid and because you really worship government. And again, I give Drake Millstone a lot of respect and credit over the years, and they know who I am, right? You can ask Tahar, that guy ETT? Oh, yeah, I know that guy. Did you know that Apostle Tahar is subscribed to me on YouTube? That's true. Apostle Tahar is subscribed to my YouTube channel. I've seen it on one of his videos in this, like, the side, and it was subscribed, right? And he even commented on a couple of my videos in the past, right? So they watch me. They know who I am. So again, I give Ray Millstone a lot of respect and credit, but then on the other hand, I have to be fair in judgment as well and say there is certainly some errors as well with the doctrine. And same thing with all these camps out here. There are errors in the doctrine. It doesn't mean that they're not brothers in the faith. It doesn't mean that they're wicked. But yeah, there certainly are some errors, here or there. And, if you're going to just, acknowledge the errors and not talk about it, then you're wicked. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I know a dude who's in GMS. I'm not going to say his name. I don't even know if the guy's still in a camp, because I talked to this guy, I want to say back in like 2018, right? So like, what is that? Like 6 years ago, I talked to this dude, and he was telling me, yeah, man, yeah, I'm doing research into that flat earth stuff, right? I'm compelled with flat earth, but I'm not going to say anything to my camp because I don't want to get kicked out of the camp. So I'm just going to keep that quiet. Right? So again, I'm not going to share the guy's name out there, but I talked to an official member of a camp, and he was telling me, yeah, man, I'm looking into that flat earth stuff, but I'm not going to say nothing because I don't want to get kicked out of my camp that I'm in. So I'll tell you, man, there's guys out there that are, questioning the doctrine, questioning what they're told. So again, there is some, disagreements going on. And it's really in all these camps. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I was talking to this top Sakari officer the other day. I believe this guy's name is something like Sakari Yahweh Shalop or something like that. Don't mean to be disrespectful, but I can't remember the guy's name. But, I was talking to this dude on live stream. And the discussion came up about the Great Tribulation, because I seen that Al-Lazar, which is like the main chief in charge of the organization, right? Like the top dude in charge. He said in a street debate that the Great Tribulation in Matthew 24 happened in 70 AD. So I wanted to ask this guy, do you agree with that? Or did you guys like change the doctrine, or like what's going on there? And the dummy was like, well, why ask me? You ask him. And I was like, dummy, the reason I'm asking you is because we're having a dialogue about what Sakari teaches, and that's literally the organization that you're part of. So if I ask you what your organization represents, you should be able to stand on that. Like, you should be capable of explaining the camp doctrine to me the same way that your leaders above you break it down. Like, I don't get how that's like such a remarkable thing to ask from you. Like, this should be very basic. If I asked you a question, the same people in your camp should be able to give the same breakdown as you. or the camp a couple states over should be able to give the same breakdown because you all go under the same group. The fact that there could be differences in the doctrine, you guys should call yourself a different group then, because you're not teaching the same thing. So this dummy was telling me, well, yeah, the Great Tribulation clearly hasn't happened yet. But then the chief above him said it did happen. And then the dummy wants to sit there and make it look like I'm the bad guy for asking the question. It's just ridiculous. But again, there's a lot of individuals out here that are just stupid and, just can't logically think. So I don't want to make this too long. I'm going to, cut the video there. Thanks for watching.